So we continue with calorimetry, and we just understood the difference between heat and temperature, and we came to know about the relationship MQ is equals to MC delta T, where Q is the heat energy required, and M is the mass of the substance, C is the heat capacity of the substance, and delta T is the change in temperature of the substance. Now let's talk about the next one, and that is thermal capacity or heat capacity. From our everyday experience, we find that different bodies require different amount of heat energy for equal rise in the temperature. This property of the body is expressed in terms of its thermal or heat capacity. The heat capacity of a body is defined as follows. The heat capacity of a body is the amount of heat energy required to raise its temperature by 1 degree Celsius. So, if I got a body, and that body I need to increase the temperature of the body by 1 degree Celsius, then that amount of heat energy which I am imparting to it is called as the heat capacity. Now the main thing over here is this is related to a body. We are talking about a body. Now the body can be made up of a single material, or it could be of a multiple things inside. Like for example, if I take this particular thing that I got some pens and a duster also over here. So this is a group over here like this. Now it has got the pens are made of plastic, and then there will be inner thing which are the tips and everything which are made up of some another material. The duster is made up of wood, and plus this particular wiping part. So everything over here has got different amount of heat capacity. That means it has got, now if ये पूरा का पूरा एक बंडल कर दूं और ये बंडल का टेम्परेचर if I'm increasing by 1 degree Celsius, then the amount of heat energy required for this complete bundle is the heat capacity of this body or bundle. Okay, so when you talk about a body as a whole which is made up of different substances, then we are talking about the heat energy required to raise the temperature of the complete body by 1 degree Celsius is the heat capacity of the body. Okay, so the heat capacity of the body is denoted by the letter C dash. So it is denoted by C dash, and it is equal to the amount of heat required upon that's all heat required upon the change in temperature. So temperature change. So that means we can write that heat required is Q, and this is temperature change is delta T. Okay, so C dash is equals to Q delta T. Okay, so if we are imparting an amount of Q to the body, its temperature rises by delta T degree Celsius or delta T Kelvin, then heat capacity C dash is equals to, so we have got C dash is equals to Q upon delta T. That is the formula for heat capacity of a substance. Now let's see the units of the heat capacity. This is measured in joule, or we can say it is measured in calorie, and this is measured in degree Celsius, or it is measured in Kelvin. So that's why it will be joule per degree Celsius or Kelvin per calorie per Kelvin. Okay, so that's why the SI unit of heat capacity is joule per Kelvin. It is written as joule per degree Celsius. It is also written as joule per degree Celsius. So that's why we can have the multiple kind of things over here. So it could be the heat capacity could be as J per degree Celsius, or it could be J per Kelvin, or it could be calorie per degree Celsius, or it could be calorie per Kelvin. So this could be the 4 different units for the heat capacity of the body. So the other units of heat capacity are Kelvin, calorie per degree Celsius, or calorie per Kelvin, or kilocalorie per degree Celsius, or kilocalorie per Kelvin. They are related as follows: that 1 kilocalorie degree Celsius is equals to 1000 kilocalorie, and 1 calorie per Kelvin is equals to 4.2 joule per Kelvin. So it's the same thing, you are not changing anything. वो 4.2 का 4.2 ही है for from joule to Kelvin, and the calorie to kilocalorie is 1000. So that's nothing difficult over there. Note, if the heat capacity of the vessel is 30 joule per Kelvin, it means that 30 joule of energy is required to raise the temperature of the vessel by 1 Kelvin. So when I say that a particular body, the particular vessel has got the heat capacity of, let's say, given over here as 30 joule per Kelvin, it means that if I had taken if I take the material and I heating it, then it will require 30 joule of heat energy to increase its temperature by just 1 degree Celsius, 1 Kelvin. Okay, so that is the meaning of the value of the heat capacity of a substance. The next one we see is the specific heat capacity. This was heat capacity. Now is the specific heat capacity. Now, when we are talking about the specific heat capacity, means what? We are talking about just one element. Okay, we are not talking about compound. I mean, we are not talking about a bunch of things, but we are talking about just one kind of material. Okay, wherein you know that the whole thing is made up of only one kind of material. Okay, so when you know about this, so heat capacity of body when expressed for a unit mass of it is called as specific heat capacity of the substance or that body. It is denoted by the symbol C. So this is denoted by the symbol C. It's the characteristics of the substance that is different for different bodies. Thus, specific heat capacity of a substance is defined as the heat capacity per unit mass of body of that substance. So when you are talking about not the body but only a unit mass of the body, okay, if you are saying that suppose ये 10 kg का था, okay, but मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि नहीं, I just want 1 kg of that thing, okay, if I am having only 1 kg of the body of that particular 1 kg of that particular material, then what is the heat energy required? That is known as the specific heat capacity of the material. So when you are having the material which is a single kind of a material which is made up of only one kind of a thing, and it requires, okay, and it will be like if I take only 1 unit of it and 1 kg or 1 gram of that thing and I'm increasing it by 1 degree Celsius, so amount of heat energy required will be the specific heat capacity of that material. Okay, so what is specific capacity of the material? It is the amount of heat energy required. It is the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram or 1 unit mass. Okay, 1 gram, 1 kilogram, unit mass of a substance by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, so when you are taking a unit mass of substance and increasing the temperature of that by 1 degree Celsius, then the amount of heat energy which is supplied is equal to specific heat capacity of that substance. Thus, the specific heat capacity of the substance is defined as the heat capacity per unit mass of the body of that substance. So that's why specific capacity is equal to C dash upon M. Okay, that is mass of the body. So heat capacity of the body upon mass of the body. So because we know that C dash is equal to this, so now I can write this value over here. So C is equal to Q upon delta T into M. So that's why Q is equal to MC delta T. That is what we wanted over here. So you can see that this we are getting from two values, two things, that is one from the specific capacity of the substance and also with the help of this part where it is directly related to the mass and the temperature. In other words, so we can see specific capacity C is Q upon M into delta T. In other words, we can define specific capacity as the specific capacity of a substance is the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of unit mass of that substance through 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin. Specific capacity C is the amount of heat energy supplied upon mass into rise in temperature. From this equation, heat energy required to raise the temperature of the body of mass m kg by delta T degree Kelvin or delta T Kelvin is given as Q is equal to mc delta T, and this will be in joule. Thus, the quantity of heat energy absorbed to increase the temperature of the body depends upon three factors. Mass of the body, Q is proportional to M. The increase in temperature of the body, Q is equal to delta T. And the material of the substance of the body, that is Q is proportional to C. Now, what will be the units of the specific capacity? You can easily make out from here. Now, Q, we know it is in Joule. Delta T is in Kelvin. And mass is in kg. So, this will be like this. Okay. So, therefore, the units of this will be given as J Kelvin minus 1 kg minus 1. Okay. It can also be given as J degree Celsius minus 1 kg minus 1. Okay. So, we have it as the unit of heat capacity is Joule per kilogram per Kelvin, or so kg, in लोग ने kg में पहले लिया है, so it will be one and the same, doesn't matter. So Joule per kilogram per Kelvin or Joule per kilogram per degree Celsius. The other units will be, of course, calorie per gram per Celsius or kilocalorie plus kg per Celsius. And the relationship, again the same thing, 1 calorie gram per centimeter degree Celsius will be equal to 4.2 into 10 to 3 joule per kg per Kelvin. Note, if specific heat capacity of copper is 0.4 joule per gram per Kelvin, it means that 0.4 joule of heat energy will be required to heat 1 gram of copper by 1 degree Kelvin. Okay, not degree Kelvin. See, Kelvin में कभी degree नहीं होता, पर क्या होता है वो it is because it doesn't require degree Celsius, like degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit होता है, वैसे Kelvin is just the absolute value, so it is only Kelvin, it is not degree. Okay, so always remember that when you are writing K, you will not write degree over there. So it means that heat energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of copper by 1 Kelvin or 1 degree Celsius is 0.4 joule. Relationship between heat capacity and specific capacity. Heat capacity C dash is equal to M into C. So we can see over here the relationship between C dash. We already see this, so yeah, that's always C dash is equal to M into C, or C is equal to C dash upon M. So this is a relationship between the speed capacity and the specific heat capacity. From the above relationship, the heat capacity C dash of the body of the specific heat capacity of the substance of a body to the specific capacity of the substance. So that is the relationship, that C dash is equal to M mass into heat specific capacity. So distinction between heat capacity and specific capacity. Heat capacity, it is the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of the entire body by 1 degree Celsius. So when the heat capacity, you are talking about the entire body ka mass increasing by 1 degree Celsius, whereas specific capacity is the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of 1 unit mass of body by 1 degree Celsius. Heat capacity, it depends upon both the substance and the mass of the body. More the mass of the body, more will be the heat capacity. See, in case of heat capacity, मैंने यहाँ पे ये bunch लिया, तो whether I took 5 pens or whether I took 3 pens, the heat capacity is going to be different. Okay, when I taken 3 pens, the heat capacity will be less. If I am taking more pens, the heat capacity is more. So that means heat capacity is dependent on the mass of the body. More the mass of the body, more with the heat capacity. But specific capacity क्या है? Specific capacity तो है ही 1 gram के लिए या 1 kilogram के लिए. So automatically it is not dependent on mass. The value is already for one particular unit mass. That's why heat capacity is related to the mass, whereas the specific capacity does not depend on the mass, but it is a characteristic property of the substance. Heat capacity C dash is equal to Q upon delta T, whereas specific heat capacity is equal to heat upon mass into delta T. So Q upon M delta T. Heat capacity measured in joule per Kelvin, whereas specific capacity measured in joule per kg per Kelvin. We now see some specific heat capacity of some common substances. The specific capacity of substances is its characteristic property. It is different for different substances. Usually a good conductor has a low specific capacity while a bad conductor has a high specific capacity. For example, specific capacity of copper is 0.4 joule per gram per Kelvin and of water is 4.2 joule per gram per Kelvin. Copper is a good conductor of heat, but water is a bad conductor or poor conductor of heat. If we heat equal mass of two different substances on the same burner, so the rate of heat supply is the same, we notice that after the same time interval, the rise in temperature for the two substances is different. This is because of the different specific heat capacity. Very simple. Specific capacity, we understood that it was the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of unit mass of that substance by 1 degree Celsius. So obviously, if some particular body has got more amount of heat capacity, a specific capacity, it means it requires more amount of heat energy to change its temperature. That means it is a bad conductor or poor conductor of heat. If something requires less amount of heat energy to raise its temperature by a particular degree Celsius, then by 1 degree Celsius, then it is said that it will be a good conductor of heat. So that's why water and copper के अंदर copper will require 0.4 joule of energy to raise its 1 gram of copper by 1 degree Kelvin. But वही चीज अगर हम लोग ने 1 gram of water लिया है, it will take not 0.4 but 4.2, almost 10 times more amount of heat will be required by water as compared to copper. The substance with low specific capacity shows a rapid and high rise in temperature. Thus, it is a better conductor of heat than the substance with high specific capacity, which shows a slow or small rise in temperature. So, of course, when you see the rise in temperature, the one which has got a low specific capacity will be rising its temperature very fast because it's a good conductor of electricity, good conductor of heat, and that's why it is going to keep on increasing its temperature very fast. Whereas if it is a substance which has got a high specific capacity, then it is going to take a longer time to get heated up, and that's why the temperature rise will be very slow. Water has a unusual high specific heat capacity, 4200 joule per kg per Kelvin. Okay. The specific capacity of same substances is different in its different phases. The specific capacity of water is 4200 joule per kg per Kelvin, of ice is 2100 joule per kg per Kelvin, and steam is 460 joule per kg per Kelvin. So you can see that the specific heat capacity is different in different states. Okay, if it's solid state, then the specific capacity is different. When in a liquid state, its specific capacity is different. And in gaseous state, it is much different. So in case of water, what is happening is, water has got the highest, the liquid has got the highest specific capacity, the solid has got a capacity lower than that, and the gaseous has got the least one. Okay. So the specific capacity is maximum or equal to 14,630 joule per kg per Kelvin for hydrogen. So hydrogen has got the highest, I can say that hydrogen, the specific capacity is the highest, that is 14,630 joule per kg per Kelvin. Some of the specific capacity are given over here. Lead ka 130, whereas mercury is 139, brass is 380, zinc is 391, copper 399, iron 483, glass 504, aluminum 882, kerosene 2100, ice is also 2100, seawater 3900, water 4180. So these are certain values. Of course, you don't need to learn them. This is just for your reference. Now we see is the calculation or the way we are going to find out the measurement of heat, and that is called as calorimetry, and the instrument we are using is a calorimeter. A calorimeter is a very simple device. Actually वो device को हम लोग device भी क्यों बोलते हैं समझ में आया, because it's just a simple glass. Okay, it's a simple beaker. Beaker है जिसके ऊपर ढक्कन है, दो holes है, एक hole में से thermometer जा रहा है, दूसरे hole में stirrer जा रहा है. That's it. So the calorimeter is a cylindrical vessel which is used to measure the amount of heat gained or lost by a body when it is mixed with the other body. It is shown in the figure 11.1. It is made up of a thin sheet of copper because copper is a good conductor of heat. So the vessel goes soon acquire the temperature of its content. And second, copper has a low specific capacity, so the heat capacity of the calorimeter is low and the amount of heat energy taken by the calorimeter for the content to acquire its temperature is very small. See, basically calorimetry mein what we are doing is that we are going to see the difference in the temperatures of the two substances. So at that time, whatever is the container which you are using, if that container is going to absorb certain amount of heat energy from the liquid or from the other body, then it is going to be a waste. So that's why the material what we are going to use in case for making a calorimeter will be something which has got a very low specific capacity, so that it is going to gain the temperature from the substance very fast. Like for example, if I take a copper glass and I pour water at, let's say, 60 degrees Celsius, then it shouldn't happen that by the time the glass came to 50 degrees Celsius along with the water, the temperature already fall down to 45, because glass absorbs so much amount of heat energy. तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. That's why what we have is we are going to use copper, where the amount of heat energy required for raising the temperature is very, very, very less. That's the reason it attains the temperature which is required in a very fast manner and without any losses. So that's what we are seeing over here. That is the reason we are taking copper as the material of the calorimeter. So copper के दो reason के लिए, first is the good conductor of heat, so it soon gets acquires the temperature, and secondly is that it's got a low specific capacity, so the content to acquire the temperature is very, the time taken for the content to acquire the temperature will be less. The outer and the inner surface of the vessel are polished so as to reduce the loss due to radiation. For insulation, it is placed inside a wooden jacket. The space between the calorimeter and the jacket is filled with some poor conductor such as wool, cotton, etc. to avoid the heat loss by conduction. It is covered with a wooden lid to avoid the heat loss by convection. The lid has two holes, one for the stirrer used to mix its content properly, and the other for the thermometer to measure the temperature of its content. So basically what we are having is so this was the copper vessel, and then you are placing this in a wooden box. So you are placing in a wooden box or maybe some kind of a insulating material, so that this particular part, okay, because while handling, you should not happen that you are not able to touch it also. So you, at the same time, you are seeing to it that there is no, so first thing is the copper ka vessel जो है वो अंदर और बाहर से polished है. Why it is polished? So that the heat loss due to radiation is not there. Okay, this is made up of wood, and then this part over here is sealed with wool or cotton, which is the back conductor, so that it does not allow conduction to take place. And on the top there is a lid which is again made up of wood, which has got two holes, one for a thermometer and another one for a stirrer. So this one, the wooden part over here, will not allow the convection to take place. So in this way, with the help of these three things, that is the wooden container, the polished vessel, and the wooden lid, there is going to be the stoppage of conduction, convection, and radiation. All the three forms of heat energy ka transfer are being blocked. Okay, all the three types of transfer of energy are blocked, type of heat energy are blocked by these things, so that the heat is not lost in the atmosphere when we are doing the experiment, okay, or the measurement. So now we talk about the principle or the method of principle of methods of mixtures, or principle of calorimetry. When a hot body is mixed or is kept in contact with a cold body, the heat energy passes from the hot body to the cold body till both the bodies attain the same temperature. If no heat energy is lost to the surrounding, that is, if the temperature is if the system is perfectly insulated, then heat energy lost by the hot body is equals to heat energy gained by the cold body. Now this is nothing but the calorimeter ka principle of calorimeter. So heat lost by hot body is equals to heat gained by cold body. So the only assumption what you are taking is if the insulation over here is perfect, okay, if it is perfectly insulated, then there is no way the heat can be transferring from here to outside by loss of heat. And in that case, what if there are two substances over here, one a hot body, another cold body, then the heat gained by the cold body will be equal to heat lost by the hot body. Like I'll just give you an example. Suppose we are filling this up with water. So this is some water which is placed inside, and the water is at, let's say, 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, and then we are taking a hot iron ball, and that hot iron ball is placed inside, and this iron ball is at 100 degrees Celsius. So the heat, what will happen? This iron ball will lose heat and will reach a temperature of, say, something like maybe 70-80 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Celsius, and this 20 will also become 60 degrees Celsius. So 100 भी 60 पे आएगा, 20 भी 60 पे आएगा. Okay, how is that possible? Because the heat lost by this hot body will be the heat gained by the water. So heat lost by the iron ball will be equal to the heat gained by the water. So thus this is called as the principle of method of mixtures, or principle of calorimetry. This is the principle which is based on the laws of conservation of energy. So we have this as a mathematical model also. We can consider this as a mathematical model also. So what we'll do is, let's consider the same example wherein I have taken over here, this is, let's say, M1 is the mass of water inside this thing. M2 is mass of iron ball. Okay. C1 is specific heat capacity, specific heat of water. And C2 is specific heat of iron. The T1 is initial temperature of water. T3 is final temperature of water, and T2 is equals to initial temperature of iron. So of course this is water as well as iron, so the final temperature will be of water as well as iron. So we know that the heat lost by iron is equals to heat gained by water. So that is heat loss. What is that? That is Q2 is equals to Q1. What is Q? M2C2 delta T is equals to M1C1 delta T. So we get this as M2C2 T2 minus T1 is equals to, sorry, T2 minus T1, T initial by final, T2 upon T2 minus T3, and this is M1C1 T2 minus, or we will say it as T1 minus T2, because this will be more and this, this will be less, so T2 minus T1. Your T3 will be less and T1 will be more. So, or we can directly say this way, T3 के place सिर्फ T कर देते हैं, so T2 minus T and T, yeah, T minus T1. T2 minus T and T minus T1. So that will be the required equation over here mathematically to solve that. Heat lost by A is equals to heat lost by B. Heat lost by iron is equal to heat lost by iron is equal to heat gained by water. If calorimetry of a vessel is used for mixing two substances A and B, we must take into account the heat energy gained by the calorimeter also. So when you are doing this experiment, at that time, यहाँ पे जो हम लोग ने सिर्फ water लिया है, you may need to take even into consideration the amount of heat energy absorbed by the calorimeter. So here it will be plus M of calorimeter, C of calorimeter, and delta T, that is again it will be T minus T1 because normally the temperature of the calorimeter will be the same as that of the water inside, so that's why it will be T minus. So this will be an addition to that thing. So the heat energy from the ion will be lost not only to the water but also to the calorimeter which is there. So if mass of the calorimeter is m and the specific capacity of the substance is C, it will gain heat energy mc T2 minus T, and then the equation will be m1 C1 T1 minus T is equal to m2 C2 T1 minus T2 and m plus mc T minus T2. So that will be mc m2 C2 plus mc into T1 minus T2. Okay, that's about this part. We'll now see the natural phenomena of the consequences of high specific capacity of water. I'll take it in the next video.